Hey guys, my name is RyanCentral and welcome to HitScan. How good is new Viper? We know that she's better obviously since the pretty beefy buffs that came in earlier this week, but nobody's really spoken about the impact that these changes can have. Does she go to being a must pick now, for example? Is she still as bad as she was before but just a little bit better? We wanted to know the answer to this, so we asked pro player Jammyz, who's been playing a lot in the NA tournaments, with a few lineups at this point. It does play a lot of Viper. It did play Viper when people considered her bad. So we asked her, how good is she? And a lot more questions. Definitely check out all of Jammy's details in the description below. Let's get started. Because we've never had you on the channel before, Jammyz, why should people listen to you when it comes to playing Viper? Because you are sort of in the semi-pro scene of Valorant. You've done some pretty good stuff in tournaments. But why should people listen to you about playing Valorant?
I would say people should listen to me when it comes to Viper because not only do I play her just regularly in ranked, but in tournaments I have experience with her. And early in the beta scene for competitive, I actually made Viper pretty meta on Split, for example, especially Split. Actually, that map was it was really interesting to play. It had a lot of corners you had to lock down, and Viper allowed me to hold B site without a cipher. So we had a cipher, we played him on A, and then I would hold down B. And a lot of people thought that was a weak spot, but in reality, Viper on B allows me to play all these certain angles I could create for myself, and that alone kind of shifted the play scene of maybe Viper is viable in a team comp setting. And you started to see a lot of good teams, Team High Ground for example, they started playing Viper on Split. I think people should listen to what I have to say, for example. Yeah.
Before we sort of go into the main question, which is how good is new Viper, I wanted to ask you really, what was old Viper like? What was her problem? Why weren't people taking her seriously? And do you think there was an element of people not really playing her enough and understanding her that people may have left on the table?
Right, so Viper is a character that is very unforgiving. You can't really do much with her abilities unless you have a large server, like you have server time with her, you're just in a custom making all these angles, these smokes, whatever. But old Viper, for example, I can go over every single ability. For example, the toxic screen, which is her wall that she can place, the smoke wall. Everyone just ran through it. People were just okay, that wall is useless. Let's just run through it. But that was one bad thing about Viper, and people still do that, for example. But the snake bite, which is her venom, nobody took seriously because if you put it on the bomb while bomb was down or the spike, it wouldn't kill someone when they're defusing. So that was kind of useless. A brim molly would be way more useful than a venom. And then her poison orb, the smoke, people would use for one ways, which I mean that's still used, but old Viper was seen of as, let's just run through all of her abilities, she can't stop us. So I think that was the biggest issue with old Viper.
Like you said, you have to check the YouTube videos, you have to go to the Reddits to learn all of these executes and lineups. But if you're just playing Brimstone, beep beep boop, you put down all your smokes, and if you have one agent that requires you to learn all of these lineups, and then one where it just opens up a panel and you can place the smokes wherever you want, it comes as no surprise why Viper's just not as good as Brimstone.
Right, exactly. That's exactly why. It's just the skill gap with Viper is so high, and it's really complicated to play. And for a new player to unlock Viper and get in just throw themselves in a match, all of their abilities are going to feel are useless. They're not going to know what's going on, and then at the end of the day they're going to be wow, Viper sucks, I'm not playing her. And then you see them go to Brimstone or Omen, and I mean it is what it is.
So what about new Viper then? What is she a lot better? I spoke to you very briefly beforehand, you said she could do a lot more stuff now.
Right, exactly.
What kind of stuff? What's different there? Certainly when it comes to a wall, which I guess is the focal point of her changes.
Right, so like we were talking previously, Viper, you have to spend a lot of custom time in, custom server time, lineups, smokes, all this stuff. With new Viper, you can have these lineups with her wall, but they're way, way, way more consistent, 10 times more consistent. Every single time that wall will go there, because now they can go through walls. And what people don't understand about this new change is it cuts off. So before old Viper, you'd have to line the smoke up in the sky and hope it would land, and sometimes it would be kind of weird where there's a gap in the wall or something weird would happen. But now that you can shoot them through the walls, It literally is pinpoint accurate. The wall goes exactly where it's showing on the map, and there's no gaps. So if you're going into a custom server with Viper, I would say Viper, it's more of for the nerds. Like, Viper is a nerdy character. You have to spend time in a server alone, learning these lineups, and then you go in a game and you use the wall, and not only do you know the lineups, but you have to figure out, okay, how can I use this wall the correct way against these players, and what's the counter to it, and how can I counter the counter? So, like, I would say Viper, you cannot just play, you cannot just pick up. It's such a good character if you learn, like, how to play by yourself. It's a really unforgiving character in the sense where you can spend so much time developing this entire strategy, and then one Phoenix flash can flash through and ruin your strategy. But the good thing about it is, once you play around it, you tweak it a little bit, it's so hard to break. The new Snakebite, for example, before it was just a really weak Brimstone Molly, which everyone just kind of, you know, wrote off as nothing. But the way you're supposed to play it is, there's so many angles on the map that you have to clear. So you have 2 clears, free clears, and when they're, for example, a player's in that angle, now they're supposedly called fragile for a short time. And what that means is you do so much more damage to them if they're in the Venom. So you can clear 2 corners or 2 angles you want. You have a wall that can go pierce through walls now and be pinpoint accuracy, and then you still have your giant smoke cloud or the poison orb. So I think the buff, or the overall take of the new Viper, is that her Snakebite or Venom is taken way more seriously in the fact that if you're holding an angle and like it's a one and done angle, you will get cleared and you will die, and that's the biggest punishment it is. You're just dead. A Brimstone Molly, you know, you have one, it's really big and it does a lot of damage, but if you're on a team and you're clearing all these angles and you have Viper, that's 2 free clears you get, and that's 2 almost guaranteed kills. So that's super strong. So Viper is a mind game. That's what people need to understand. When you're playing Viper, it's just so that they don't know where you are. You're buying time for your team to rotate, and if that team just decides to run through it, you know, you'll get 2 kills. You get those 2 kills, you get traded, it's fine. You did your job, you got the 2 kills. So the way to play around Viper is, you're creating opportunity to get kills with the wall, with the smoke, and then you have your 2 snake bites to clear angles, or let's say I'm playing backside B, I know they're executing on me, I throw my wall up, they have to jump through sidewalk. So when I know they're on sidewalk from an audio cue, I'll throw down my snake bite and they'll be in it. And that forces them to jump onto site and have 0 accuracy in the air. That's a free kill for me. And then I just hide. And I know my teammates are rotating. I'm playing time at this time. Like, Viper is a little snake. It's exactly what it is. It's literally a Viper. I'm just slithering away from all these players, buying time for my team. And I have all these abilities to, like, hold them where I want them to be. If they're sitting behind the wall waiting for it to go down, and my teammates are rotating, that's exactly what I want them to do, and I'm doing my job. That's what Viper is. You know, Brimstone, you have 3 smokes. They're big, they're thick smokes. You can't really like lurk around in them. But once those 3 smokes are gone, you're kind of useless. You got a molly and that's it. If you don't have your ultimate, I mean, you can get traded and you're worthless. Viper, her smokes are regenerable. Her ultimate, let's talk for example. Her ultimate is so good in after plant situations when you're waiting for, you know, the other team to retake the bomb site, and you're just lurking around in this giant smoke cloud, and the only way they have to kill you is to go in the smoke, and that buys time for the bomb to just keep ticking and ticking. Viper is actually so strong. I'm surprised I don't see it in all these tier 1 teams right now, but I think what people are afraid of is Viper and the player that's playing it, because, you know, Viper could be very useless if you don't know how to play her, but if you have a lot of experience with her, I think she can be really good. And I think that's just my overall take on new Viper, is that she's just so much stronger because her wall is pinpoint accurate. You can do the lineup correctly every single time. Her 2 snake bites are super powerful now in the sense that if someone's standing in it, then it's like 2 bullets and they're dead, for example. And then her poison orb actually got a cooldown increase, which is honestly, it's not that bad. It's just 1 second. But with the buff to her wall and the buff to her snake bite, I think it still makes Viper a really well-rounded overall, just good choice to play on as like a team-oriented character. And I think she needs to not be overlooked now. Like, I think more teams need to start trying to incorporate her in their agent pool, just because if nobody's using an agent and you're playing against something you've never played against or never practiced against, you're not gonna know what to do when you're mid-tournament, and that in itself is very, very valuable. So Viper is always gonna be my agent pool. I don't think I'm ever gonna like write her off like a lot of teams are, but I think what I want from this game is to be proficient in one agent out of like everyone else. Like I want to be the best at one character, and I think right now Viper is one of my characters I would say I'm really, really good at. So I think I went off on a little rant on Viper, but I hope that information is good and useful to some other new players. Maybe you give it a chance, or a team that's just playing for fun. Anyone else want to play Viper? I think she's very good, but you have to spend time with her. It's not a character you can pick up and just start owning with. That's not gonna happen.
That was very much like all of the questions I went to sort of ask, and it sort of rolled into like 5 or 6 minutes, so that was useful. I think the only thing I really sort of wanted to ask then, or add on to, is, you know, I think most people could easily assume, like, new Viper is better because she got buffs, you know, like Dodoy,
sure.
like that makes sense. But I guess, like, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're to do it like this, what was old Viper when it came to 1 being, you know, absolutely trash tier, 10 being you need to run them all the time? And how much has that gone up by since the new changes have come in? So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good was old Viper, and then how much has that improved with these new changes?
I would say old Viper was a 6.5, just because she's very not new player like friendly. You have to spend a lot of time with her, etc. Her wall was really inconsistent, so like you would have lineups that sometimes would work and sometimes wouldn't work for some reason. Her snake bite or venom was pretty useless. I mean, you could clear a corner with it, but in reality, a player could sit in the venom for like forever and then peek a corner and get a kill. Like her clears weren't that good, and then her poison orb was like the only useful thing that was like making her a solid pick in my mind, because there's so many one ways you can make with her poison orb, and the fact that you can pick it up and place it somewhere else mid rounds is really good. But yeah, I would say a 6.5 pre-patch Viper, and then I would say new patch I would give Viper an 8. And the only reason is because you can do the consistent lineups with their wall, and that is really, really strong now, because you can have these like setups that are hard to beat against players that have never played against them, or they don't know how to play the counter to it. And then you have your new snake bite, which can clear an angle, but it forces them to peek into you, and then they'll die in like 2 bullets because of the fragile for a short time. So I think that buff is actually really strong. You can clear 2 corners now. It's similar to a breach clear, in the sense where the breach clear will kill someone guaranteed if they don't move, but now it's like if they're sitting in it, they're gonna die, and if they peek you, they're gonna die because they're fragile. So the clear, you have 2 of them, very good, very strong. And then the only negative thing that happened in new Viper is a 1 second cooldown added to the poison orb, which really isn't that bad. Like it really isn't that bad, considering you have a wall, and so you have 2 smokes. But yeah, new Viper, super viable. You still have to develop team comps around her. Like you can't just like immediately start playing her and think it's going to be like OP or something, or insanely good. I don't even see people playing her right now after patch, just because nobody knows how to play her. I think the second people understand how good Viper is and what she can do, and I'm going to be the guy to show them that, I will be the person to be like, okay, this guy plays Viper and he's owning, like maybe Viper is really good. I'm going to be that guy. But hopefully, you know, if someone sees that from me, they might try it out and they might learn it. But yeah, new patch Viper, very good, very viable. It definitely equalizes itself in the agent pool now. Before, it wasn't even like a pick. Nobody cared. Now it's like, okay, you know, Viper, maybe valid, but yeah, new patch is very good.
I guess finally then, like, just to sort of round up everything that you've said, because we've gone into pretty extensive detail on specific things. In short, how good is new Viper? Why is she good? Where is she good?
Okay, so in short, new Viper is good because her wall you can place more consistently, and you can create actual, you know, sets you want on a certain site. So like if you're playing a certain map, you can have that set barricade that you want to build for that site, and it's consistent every time.
Without too much effort, like
exactly,
learning it in a game.
Exactly. The before Viper was you would literally have to do all these lineups in the sky and stuff. New Viper is like, okay, I want my wall to be here, and it just goes through the wall, and you're fine. Everything's fine. The snake bite, you can clear corners, and you can get yourself kills more often than not because the fragile is added in the sense where the player will be taking more damage if they're sitting in it. So that's super strong to clear corners now. And then her poison orb got a little nerf, but you know, it was a 1 second nerf to her cooldown. Not that big of a deal. It can easily be overlooked. Not a big deal at all.
And finally, where can people see more of you? You are sort of playing a lot of the much smaller tournaments in the T1C, but you are working your way up to some of the more bigger things happening at the moment. So where can people find more about Jammyz?
For sure. My Twitter is at JAMMYZX, so JammyzX. I post a lot of clips I just do in like ranked or, you know, scrims, etc. And then currently I'm forming a new team, and I hope to do well with them as well. So gonna be scrimming a lot. My Twitch channel is just Jammyz, JAMMYZ. I stream almost every day, and then my Twitter is at JammyzX.
And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. Definitely do check out all of Jammyz's details below. Let us know what you think of the new Viper changes, whether you think she's going to be a hell of a lot stronger or not. And until next time, take care. We'll see you then.